Dr. Swaminathan, the independence of this entire process and how it is extremely, extremely rigorous. Could you tell us about, the qualifications of some of the people who've gone through the data for several months and why they felt that they needed this back and forth to get more data?
Thank you for that question, Vishnu. Understandably, a lot of people were very impatient to receive the emergency use listing from WHO. I'm very glad that it's happened today. But let me first tell you about the process and also to highlight that this vaccine is not one that's taken longer than others. In fact, there are other vaccines on the list. The WHO, as you know, has a rolling submission process, which started in November of last year. The first vaccines data was submitted in November of 2020. And on average, it's taken 50 to 60 days from submission. But some vaccines, notably Sinopharm and Sinovac, took 150, 165 days. Others, like the Janssen vaccine, took about 40 days. Covaxin is somewhere in the middle. It took somewhere between 90 and 100 days. And the reason is that this expert advisory group, the Technical Advisory Group, or TAG, is made up of independent external experts who cut across disciplines from internal medicine, pharmacology, immunology, regulatory expertise, manufacturing expertise, and they actually review the data, the dossier, once the regulatory experts of WHO have identified all of the queries. So the dossier, putting together the dossier takes time. So Bharat Biotech started the rolling submission in the middle of July. And since then, there was a lot of back and forth. And the first meeting of the Technical Advisory Group took place last week. There were some additional clarifications they had asked. They had asked for more data from the clinical trials by gender, by age group. They had asked a few more questions on the manufacturing, particularly related to the adjuvant, as well as to the data on immunogenicity and reactogenicity. So some details also on the laboratory immune tests that were done. The committee met again today, and they were very satisfied with all of the responses to the additional questions that they had posed, and so they have approved it for listing. So it's the 8th vaccine now to receive EUL. Right. There are another 13 vaccines that are still awaiting emergency use listing.
Does that include Indian vaccines as well, a few others which are being developed in the country?
We have encouraged all the developers to submit on a rolling basis. So we are expecting a few more companies, but I think they're probably putting their dossiers together.
Right. Dr. Swaminathan, the WHO says, and I quote, available data on vaccination of pregnant women with the Covaxin vaccine are insufficient to assess vaccine safety or efficacy. How much of a concern is it? It sounds quite serious. And would you perhaps clear Covaxin for use on pregnant women if more data is submitted? Is that an expectation, more data?
So some subgroups are particularly, looked at, and that includes pregnant women. In this case, it also includes people over the age of 60, because we've observed with some of the other vaccines that there's not such a good immune response in that age group. And of course, it includes children below the age of 18. In all of these groups, you need to do specific studies to look for data both on safety and efficacy. As far as pregnant women are concerned, the company has plans to do a pregnancy sub-study and a pregnancy registry. Of course, they were not included in the clinical trial. Usually, pregnant women are not included in clinical trials. So what we do know, however, is that quite a large number of pregnant women in India have received Covaxin. And so there should be enough data. There is enough data on the safety. We have not seen any safety signals. What is still awaited is data on the newborns, because obviously one looks at both the mother and the baby when it comes to pregnancy outcomes. So these additional data have been requested. And right. What we can expect perhaps is from experience from other inactivated vaccines that it should not be an issue during pregnancy. So I don't think people should be concerned about the safety. And as soon as we are able to see that data documented from the program, the programmatic rollout, it should be possible to then also include that in the recommendations.
Dr. Swaminathan, will the WHO also be assessing Covaxin for use on children, because it's expected to roll out for kids in India?
Yes, we're expecting the data on children to be submitted. WHO has not received the data yet.
Any idea when that would come? Again, how long would that process take? Would it again be a matter of months for that to be assessed?
In this case, it should be much faster. But again, it depends really on the data. The same things happen with other companies, like the mRNA vaccines. They were first approved for adults, and then as data in younger and younger age groups became available, it was submitted. It is looked at again by both committees. As you know, we have SAGE, which does the policy guidance, and we also have this technical advisory group on the regulatory. But it should be much faster once the data are in.
Dr. Swaminathan, a final question to you. In simple terms, what does this mean for millions of Indians who've been vaccinated with Covaxin, and what does it mean for the drug itself in being exported around the world? The WHO and Gavi and COVAX, they need vaccines, right? I mean, it's a given at this stage. With your clearance, does this potentially mean large orders or exports of this drug so that it can go all over the world and help people?
Yes, it has very significant implications, Vishnu. On the travel, many countries accept WHO emergency use listed vaccines, because it's a stamp of safety, efficacy, and quality. So definitely, I think even though WHO says not to use vaccines as the exclusive sort of a passport for travel, but many countries are using vaccines to allow travel, and therefore this emergency use listing will allow this vaccine, Covaxin, to be listed on that list. That's the first. Second is that global procurement agencies, including UNICEF, Gavi, and the COVAX facility, depend on WHO emergency use listing for procurement. So if Bharat Biotech in India were wanting to supply COVAX, for example, for the world, then this is the first step. It should make it possible now to start those discussions. And the third thing is that regulatory agencies in other countries around the world accept WHO's EUL, and this really facilitates regulatory approval within their own national borders, and therefore this vaccine can now be accepted in many more countries.
Thanks, Van. Thanks so much, Dr. Swaminathan, for speaking to us. It's a great day, I think, for people around the world, not just in India, that another vaccine has come, a vaccine which, can save lives. It saved lives over here. Perhaps many more people around the world will benefit from it as well.